300 of the world's best duckpin bowlers of the men's and women's pro tours gathered in Baltimore, Maryland to shoot for the top spot at the Greenway Bowl East Miller Lite Classic. Coming to you next on Duckpin Magic. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Duckpin Magic. I'm Mike Sella. With me, Joe Rynair. And Joe, we're at the Greenway Bowl East in Baltimore, Maryland, and this is the Duckpin Professional Bowlers Association. It's the Miller Lite stop, and we've got a lot of exciting action coming up over the next 4 weeks.
Mike, we started with 185 bowlers. We all know it's the largest duckpin house in the world, and we just love coming here, and we're looking for some real excitement over the next 2 weeks.
All right, we've got our defending champion, Kenny Palmer, back again this year. He'll be coming up in this particular show, but our first match and our first bowlers come up right after this message. Our first match for the day features our 13th seeded bowler taking on our 11th seeded bowler, and that is Donnie Dove taking on Kenny Palmer. Joe, a lot of times we sort of take for granted the fact that we know a lot about these bowlers, but some of our viewers may not know too much about the bowlers that are going to appear today on Duckpin Magic for the Pro Tour.
Well, I can tell you something about Don Dove. It says here he's getting married in August, so this would be a nice little bonus check. Meter reader for Baltimore Gas and Electric. Bowls here at Greenway East, and we've watched him before. He has a star on his back. He knows how to win, and just an explosive type bowler. When he gets in a groove, I mean, we have two guys here. This should be a super match.
And of course, we have the defending champion, which we'll be taking a look at here. Mr. Kenny Palmer of Wheaton, Maryland. Last year was sort of lightning in a bottle.
Well, it became like a series, you know. He just 8 games in a row, and I tell you, it's almost like the 279 game, Mike. That's quite an accomplishment at this caliber and quality of bowlers to win 8 games. I mean, sooner or later you run into a 190 game, or you don't bowl a good game. But Kenny was cranked up in here last year. I know I'll never forget it, just sitting here watching him climb the ladder.
Averaged over 165 in his 8 games.
I tell you, Kenny over the last 2 years has done something that we speak about from time to time, and it's, if you watch, he's so locked in, his concentration. If you recall last year, he almost physically and mentally broke down at the end of the day. I mean, it was just so exhausting to him, and that was because he's in head-to-head. People who have never bowled head-to-head really don't understand the pressure that you're under.
Duckpin Magic now moves to further action in this same match.
Don Dove's star on his back indicates the win in 1988 at the Barnum Lanes in Connecticut.
It was during his rookie season on the tour as well.
If Donnie has one flaw, it's that you can get a little jacked up, and as you see him, he does throw the ball rather hard, and if he overthrows it, this is sort of the results, the middle or some splits, just not as active a ball. And the guy, when he's bowling, you really don't feel that. You don't know you're a little pumped up and just picking up 2 or 3 miles an hour. Shooting a 7 for a 10 in frame 5. Didn't get it. 57 through 5. Kenny Palmer, 54 plus in the 4th.
Donnie also had to endure a 2-frame roll-off with Millard Harrell to break a tie for the 12th and 13th spot. So he's had a lot of bowling under his belt during the course of the tournament. Kenny Palmer now.
That'll start a little fire in the furnace. You really just, it drives you nuts to throw a ball like that, especially the caliber of bowler that we're watching. It sticks with you for a while, and this is why you can't afford to make a mistake, because you're feeding the other guy. And Donnie was down 57. All of a sudden, he thinks he's going to be 20 plus down, and he ends up, we'll let you know in a second, with a 10 frame, and he's 66-57. Kenny with the 9-pin lead. And it's like, I'm back in the game, and I didn't have to throw a ball, you know.
Midway through the first match of 3 here on Duckpin Magic today. John Supinski waiting the winner of this match, and then waiting the winner of our next match will be Wes Hamner of Richmond, Virginia. There's a strike.
That's why Kenny is able to win the number of games. He shook off the bad ball that he threw in frame 5, and here you'll see good follow-through, good leverage down and under that ball. You see the snap, and of course, there's the results.
And back to live action, Donnie does. Comes back, leaves the 5. Donnie had one of the 6 200 games during the course of the tournament, 203. And he has qualified 2 of the 3 tournament stops during the 1992 year so far. For a while, Donnie had a problem with his game, and he was the first to admit it. It seems like he's worked his way through it a little bit.
Good student of the game. He'll listen and learn. He'll be around a long time, Mike.
See the form, and that's the result of the form. Bowling, just like a number of other sports, all stems from mechanics.
It's just execution, Mike. And if you watch, there's the key. See, watch how low he gets down. See, he's down and under the ball. The hand come right up by his right eye. And that is not luck, folks. Yeah. He made that happen. If you remember 2 frames ago, it left the 5-7, and it was a little higher and sort of threw the ball a little harder.
Kenny Palmer ripping through the middle there on the strike. He does have a chance to continue to add in. Always exciting to see the defending champ come back and get this far to try to defend that crown. You know? Picks up 2 more, so he'll count 8 on the strike.
84-77 after 6. Of course, Don Dove striking of 7. Kenny shooting for 10. Frame 7. Watch the concentration. Still head and 10. Like so many games with sports, whether you're running to catch a fly ball in the outfield or hitting a golf ball, hitting a baseball, you've got to be still at the point that you're releasing the ball. And if you watch the good bowlers, that takes place by locking that slide leg in position. Watch the good knee bend that Kenny gets. The only thing moving that releases the arm and the hands.
I also noticed the routine, Joe, that he goes through. Each time it's the same thing. He gets that cleansing breath just before the release.
He's learned that, believe it or not, from golf. If you watch professional golf on TV, they speak of the routine. And what it does, it closes everything else out, Mike, and it puts your concentration on the pins and the frame at hand. And it allows you to come back. You can't take the first ball, which he threw a little wildly for Kenny, you can't take that back up there with you. You've got to forget it. Pick up your second ball and just make the adjustment. Go right back through it. And we're learning that as bowlers. I think we're the psychology of the game and just the mental preparation.
Another nice ball. Leaves the 5. There's an opportunity here to add a spare onto the strike and
take the lead for the first time. Well, he's in the lead at this point, but Kenny has a spare in frame 8. Don shooting at the 5.
Nope, missed it.
I tell you, Don is just he doesn't look comfortable to me. He's bowling well. Of course, he got this far. We know he's bowling well, but the arm, the stroke is just not as consistent and as comfortable. It doesn't look quite as natural. The key to Don's game, of course, as I mentioned, is getting down and keeping that right arm in close to that left ankle. And that when he missed the 5, he got the arm away from his body a little bit, the hand. Watch as he comes through. See, the pins send us a message. You know, you really don't need a coach if you just listen to the pins. When you're splitting and the other guy's breaking 9 and throwing strikes, they're trying to tell you something. And it's, of course, if you know your game and you know what causes that, then you fix it.
Donnie trying for the count of 10, and he's got it. 116 after 9. Kenny Palmer will step in 104 plus after 8. And so this is a big ball in the match here.
Kenny's won the Greenway Open, the Roy Webb, the Jimmy Dietz Classic, the Westview Open, twice the Lorraine Gully Doubles, the Chesapeake Open, of course the 3 Pro Tours. As we mentioned, he knows how to win. 6:01. That's a high set.
That's away.
Took advantage of a situation there. It's rather low scoring. Now watch the leverage again. The reach. See how far his hand was out in front of him? The longer you can hold on to this ball, Mike, without pulling it, the more action you're going to see, because you get the ball out on the end of your hand. Let's see if he can show us again. 124 plus to 116. 10th frame for Kenny.
Watch out.
Yeah, Pete.
Thought that was he thought that was going to be another strike there, as got 9 to go and 7 pin to stand still.
It was a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, I do believe.
Yes, you are. Yeah. All right, me alone now, Huss. Me alone.
2 big frames here for Kenny Palmer. He gets up strike spare.
And if he counts 3, he will close out Don Dove and be ready to bowl John Sapinski. 4-1, 726 in the qualifying today. And he sort of lazily got the 7 for 151.
Donnie comes back quickly. He knows the match is over, and John Sapinski awaiting the winner here. Kenny Palmer, as Kenny continues to try to defend his title at the Greenway Bowl East in Baltimore, Maryland.